Hello, everyone, and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Main today we've got the finals match of the Twilight Princess Goron Mines RTA tournament LavaDash Remembrance Bracket Grand Finals here between Firnen and Simikins. I'm Star R2 Comms. They are Skyrian and the guy downstairs. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Star.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So the finals for the redemption bracket is going to be exciting.
Yeah, good showcase. We got both a Wii runner and a GC runner, so we'll be able to showcase the differences that these two runs have.
Yeah. And then Simi, originally a Wii runner who switched to GameCube and is now like dual maining, although he's had a bit of a long GameCube phase, but would have been quite funny to see him bust out Wii for the finals. You know, it could have, but he's probably pretty rusty at this point, playing so much GameCube lately.
That would have been great to see, but it is nice to be able to show off the two different versions of this run, because there are differences between the Wii and the GC versions.
Indeed. Hopefully both runners get back in time. First try, no issues with it. On the Wii version it is way trickier. It's not really safe in any way. But Simi has been having some issues with back in time on GameCube as well, so... So yeah, hopefully he... I suppose it could be an even race in that sense if Simi accidentally messes up back in time due to like controller issues or whatever.
We'll hope that both runners get it first try.
Yeah.
There's like the, GC has the super easy method of you can be super safe and unplug your controller while hanging off the bridge, then plug it in holding in the D-pad and the A button. But like Sky said, the Wii does not have that quote-unquote safe version of back in time. It's more the classic YOLO side hop and reset your console.
Looks like we're ready to start in just a second. Alright, they're readying up.
Cool.
Yeah, so best of one finals. For the main bracket, it will be best of three, but these two runners decided on best of one because of time zone differences mostly. It's very difficult for these people to schedule Simulate, being like, I don't know, 16 hours ahead of Firnen or something like that.
And we're off. So like we alluded to before, the beginning of many Twilight Princess speedruns start with a trick called Back in Time. Back in Time, preceding that is doing gate clip with Dwayne here, the rock. We use Dwayne to quick clip into the gate to get to the earliest void that we can get to. And we're going to void out and reset on the same frame. And what that's going to do is play the respawn animation, but also load the title screen map. Because in memory, the title screen is actually its own separate file in memory. So it'll actually replay that getting up animation on the title screen and giving players control of Link on the title screen. And that has a lot of useful properties that will be useful in many ways. The most obvious one being that visually you have the Hylian shield, the Ordnance sword, and the hero's clothes. But technically, as far as memory is concerned, you don't have those. And also you have the flag of opponent being tamed, which will come in handy later on as well.
And it looks like both runners got back in time first try. Very nice. Fernan had some issues with the gate clip, but the important thing was getting back in time first try. Very nice. And yeah, Simi took his time to make sure he was holding the D-pad correctly before replugging. Good start.
Yeah, so at this point, they're going to be doing a lot of rolling. Movement in Twilight Princess may not be as, I guess, flashy as you may see in Wind Waker HD or other runs that have crazy movement tech, but it is just as complicated, if not more complicated, because our runners are going to want to maintain speed, and to do that, you will want to frame perfectly chain your rolls. You can tell if a roll is frame perfect by looking at the little icon on the top right of the of Simi's gameplay. If the little lantern icon stays like half opacity, then that means he frame perfectly chained a roll, and if the icon goes full opacity, then that means that he dropped frame perfect rolls. And that has negative effects depending on if you're going on flat ground or up or down slopes, because slopes will affect your speed more significantly. So ideally, runners will gain speed on flat ground, and then maintain frame perfect rolls up slopes in order to not lose speed.
Yeah, you drop a lot of speed if you miss frame perfect rolls up a slope, especially like in Palace of Twilight or any section that has like a long slope. If you miss one of the early rolls there, then it's like lots of mental damage.
Yeah, it's just a double the pain, because for GameCube, this Firnen Woods area has a lot of lag, and the lag varies depending on how much of the area is loaded. But fortunately for Wii, lag is not so much an issue, because as far as I know, there's not really any lag. So I guess they have that level of consistency going for them.
Simi with a nice brake slide there up that slope, showing off one movement technique that is very complicated and not seen that much in RTA. That you see all like everywhere in the TAS, which is holding like ESS position and then target to like have negative speed up a slope or something.
Yeah, so coming up. Oh, go ahead.
The thing I mentioned about lag, so on GameCube you could use the C-stick to give yourself a different camera angle to look away at things that would lag the game. On Wii, you don't have the ability to control the camera like that, but on the flip side, like on the plus side, you generally don't have lag, so they balance each other out like that, as long as you make sure to utilize the camera manip when needed on GameCube.
Yeah, so the runners both just rescued Tallow. Casually in like a casual playthrough, you have to go through a lot of Orden, do a lot of side questy stuff, and then save Tallow. But we skipped all of that early nonsense with doing back in time at the start. And from this point, they are going to be doing goats, which there is levels of RNG with goats. The spawn location of goats is always the same. However, how responsive they are to like a whoop varies. So one goat may be super responsive on one round, whereas in another round that goat may just not move at all, and that causes it can cause a lot of issues. But it looks like Simi got a solid goat's time. At 21, runners will usually take those all day. A generally really good time is sub 20 is what you'd really aim for if you want a really good run.
It looks like Firnen will get a similar time.
A little Howard, but
28.
Yeah, 28 is fine.
Simi had an interesting movement option before getting onto Epona, where he DF walked right after talking to Fado. I haven't seen that before, but it looks cool.
Yeah, DF walking being a method it's the fastest way of getting up to speed from a standstill. Basically, just you hold target, hold up like one of the up left or up right notches to do like a little shimmy with the shield out, and then frame perfectly chain rolls from there. It is just a movement optimization that you see a lot from high level runners. Simi being one of those high level runners, as well as Firnen being very good as well.
Yeah, we didn't mention it earlier, but welcome raiders, like raiders from ZSR2 and also Bewilder Beast, who just got the new world record in TP 100%. Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. Very, very good run.
And yeah,
coming up in the most important trick, the box break. Unfortunately, he failed, so his run is invalid.
Yeah, it's a shame. Should save about something like 3 frames if you get it.
Yeah, I think that's what Jim timed it out to be in his tasks.
And speaking of world records, Simi was the world record holder in this category up until very recently, where Nimso got the record 3 times. So he got a lower 56 time, and then he basically tied that run, like just less than a second new record, and then he got a 55. So it's fun to see the world record get improved during this tournament. We expected to see a lot of people improve their PBs and like lots of new people appear on the leaderboard. But it wasn't a guarantee that the world record was going to be improved, because it was a very good record in the first place. So this section with wolf movement, this is like the wolf tutorial area. You'll see runners focus a lot on when they dash, making sure that they dash cancel whenever necessary to maintain speed. So like if there's a ledge coming up, you want to make sure that you try to dash like right before you jump off the ledge, so that when you hit the ground again, you can dash again. So you can interrupt your dash within a 10 frame window, either by jumping off a ledge, climbing up a ledge if you're swimming, or doing a B attack. And it's called dash canceling. It's very useful.
Yeah, it's if you compare like a newer runner that's not as familiar with dash canceling in sewers, as compared to like a really good optimized sewers, dash cancels add up to a lot of time saved throughout this short segment, because it is such a short segment and there's not a lot of tricks to it. So your dash cancels, and also the one framers that you can do basically any time except for one time in TP, whenever Midna talks to you before one of these Midna jumps. There's one frame where you can get the you can jump early, and that like skips a little animation of her jumping. We'll see if Simi gets this one up to the door, and it looks like he got it.
Very nice. And there's a bigger one now in the next area, where Midna has some text for him. And he gets it. Nice. He pressed start to like bring up the press start to skip, and then he was like timing the A press afterwards, because you want to press start twice to skip a cutscene. First you press start to bring up the prompt, and then again to actually skip it. So runners would press start and then like visually make sure to see that the icon appears, and then like get ready to time the start and A press next. Just like that on Fernen's screen.
These like I was saying before, the one framers, that one especially after exiting sewers is a major one, but getting all of them can easily add up to a lot of time saved throughout this segment.
I mean, we say major and like lots of time, but it's just a few seconds. But it's like,
yeah,
in the beginning of the run, we do pay a lot of attention to those things. So if you get, all first framers in the beginning section of the run up until about this point for Simi, versus not getting it, we're talking like the seconds will accumulate. We're talking like between 5 and 10 seconds.
So coming up now, both Simi and Firnen are going to have to do a trick called Sword and Shield Skip. Like I was talking about earlier, due to Back in Time, it gave them the Sword and Shield and Hylian Tunic, so you might be wondering, what is there to skip? Well, if you were to enter your item screen, you wouldn't actually see the Sword and Shield in your inventory. You have them, you're able to use them, but as far as the game is concerned, you don't have them. And it is impossible to get them normally because of Back in Time advancing the state of Orden. So what they're having to do is lure Hugo, the Spoblin, all the way across this bridge to this what's it called, Twilight Wall. And what they're going to be attempting to do is use Hugo to do a long jump attack over a ground trigger, which tells you to go back, and long jump attacking into an air trigger, which is Midna allowing you to enter the mist or the Twilight area. And it's pushing Hugo can be very finicky, and Like if he just keeps attacking you, it's very frustrating, and also it's very position precise. But yeah, unfortunate for Simi, having missed it once. So if Firnen can get it first try, that'll be a pretty big advantage to start off the run.
Yeah, and another difference between Wii and GameCube here is that Fernan does not have camera controls like GameCube does. Hugo hitting him into the midnight trigger, that's unfortunate. So he wants to lock his camera in a certain way, ideally, before sort of starting the main part of the trick. But Hugo is being a bit of a nuisance right now, so he'll just have to deal with it.
This guy mentioned earlier how they don't have control over the camera, which didn't matter earlier on, but here they would really wish they had a C-stick of their own to manipulate the camera, because it makes it much easier to see what you're trying to see on the ground, because the visual cues are on the ground there.
Pun intended. Oh, it looks like Fernan failed it just the same way as Simi, just not getting enough speed, not getting enough distance. They had a very similar angle. They both went for no slide method.
And if you fail it, you have to void out in order to respawn Hugo's position, as well as, more importantly, his health, because if you kill Hugo here, it is impossible. He will never respawn.
Oh, I'm surprised Simi went for that. Hugo was a bit further back than what I know Simi usually prefers, but it works. There are lots of different angles and positions that work. As long as you are familiar with them, you can do this trick with like a big variety of scenarios.
Yeah, so Simi entering Farron Woods. Unlike any percent, we will have to complete this Twilight. But it will be different from any other category that does a Twilight, because we are going to collect every single bug except for the first two. And that's just due to how the routing works out for this. Basically, we have no reason to come back to Forest Temple. So there's no reason to go do that entire trip twice, so it ends up being faster to do all the bugs, collect every single one of them except for these first two by the Spirit. And we'll get into more detail when that becomes a little bit more prevalent.
Fernan is so close to getting the position he wants. There we go, excellent. Really good angle for that one. Yeah, and he got a bit of a bad angle at the beginning of that setup, so you saw him enter first person view and immediately exit while holding target, so you could like fix his camera the best way possible that we can do it.
Yeah, and it may seem like there is a big difference between the two runners in terms of time, but I can assure you that it's much closer than it may look. I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but Wii is actually technically the most optimal version.
I was just
for this
about
category.
to say that.
There's one trick that Wii has, at least that's relevant for this category, that GameCube does not, which saves give or take a minute.
Yeah, so a trick in Goron Mines that saves like roughly 45 seconds, and then it's estimated that load time, so like the time saved on loads for Wii, is like about 15 seconds, so like about a minute total. But we really need to time that at one point, because I think it might be a little bit less than a minute total.
I don't think we ever mentioned, but it may be a little weird. Wii and GameCube, they're flipped. The GameCube version, I think, came out first, but the Wii version was flipped to accommodate for the majority of people being right-handed. So they flipped the game to accommodate for the masses. Interesting strat from Fern. I've never seen someone do a quick spin on those bugs.
The Wii version was released first, but GameCube was developed for GameCube. So like GameCube was sort of the quote-unquote intended way to play the game, and then it was ported to Wii late in development.
Because I mean, technically, Wii has more glitches than GameCube. They're just not as useful as Gale LJAs, which won't be seen in this run.
Yeah, we used to get the boomerang in this category, but that was a few years ago.
Was that before the discovery of text displacement?
Yes. I believe there was a route where there's been like variations, but I believe we still skipped the boomerang even before text displacement for a short period of time, like before that was found. But don't quote me on that.
So Simi going for the faster strat of this, which can be a little more finicky. There's a generally more consistent strat of voiding out before those bugs to make it so they're not dug in the ground, but digging them up is technically faster.
Simi not getting the good RNG there to go for the fast EMS setup, but he does get a pretty fast swing on the after luring him. Sometimes you gotta wait quite a bit before the Shadow Beast decides to swing.
The Shadow Beast can also do a bad swing or a fast swing. Like the swing itself is at a quick speed, and with those, it's not impossible to get a super jump off of, but it is a lot more difficult, and people generally don't go for fast swing EMS, but it is possible to do.
Yeah, we've basically just seen some cases of people doing it in practice for fun, just trying to go for it, but I don't think we've ever seen it in a run before. You'll have to look at Mr. Taz for that.
And I think chances are Simi is going to go for a fast EMS on. That was kind of scary, but
that was scary. Yeah, if Simi would have killed those two beasts together with that midnight charge, his run would have been over. He would have had to, he wouldn't be able to do the early massive sword glitch.
He's going to go for the
fast EMS. Oh my goodness, that angle. He gets it.
He's very good. I can say that.
Yeah, he's very experienced with it.
It looked like he was trying to go for keeping Jamal in the same spot, but he wasn't cooperating, so we had to lure him to the other side.
Yeah, the Shadow Beast nicknamed Jamal didn't notice him at first. We do like to give names to these enemies and these characters.
And Firnen also doing fast side EMS.
Very nice.
Which it just throws me off, having watched GameCube runs for so long, just to see them doing it on Wii.
I'm sure it throws off the Wii runners watching GameCube feed as well, although they're probably way more used to it, considering how much GameCube content there is out there. Ooh, Firnen missing the first bug on the midnight charge, but hitting on the way back, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, so Simi is in the Sacred Grove doing the auto-scroller to get to Skull Kid, or to get to the Master Sword. There's 3 hits you have to do on him throughout this, I guess, escort. It's all scripted. He spawns in the same place every time, and it's just a matter of good movement and good vectoring. But
can now line up.
And this is another instance of just it's easy to lose a lot of time if you have bad movement, but wolf movement tends to be easier. Nice.
Very nice super jumps from Firnen. Unfortunately, the Shadow Beast was not didn't end up in the right spot when he tried to lure it after reviving him. But he has gotten it all the times he has attempted it, he's gotten his first try.
Simi coming up on his last hit of Skull Kid before the actual fight. And Firnen just now starting the Skull Kid sequence. During this arena fight of Skull Kid, Simi and Firnen are going to want to hit him 3 times as well. But in between phases, Skull Kid is going to spawn these puppets. And they're going to Simi's going to want to kill at least one of the puppets before Skull Kid will blow his horn again. And he wants to kill as little as possible because each additional puppet killed, I think was like 4 frames or something of hit stun effect, where the game like slows down for dramatic effect.
Yeah, a handful of frames you would rather save.
And then Simi is going to be coming up on what is considered to be one of the hardest puzzles in Zelda history. But these guys know what they're doing. They know the solution to the puzzle, so ideally they won't mess it up.
I think actually I struggled more with the like light arrow sequence of Wind Waker, like the puzzle for the Phantom Ganon fight, than this puzzle in TP. I think it took me like most of like a Saturday when I was younger. Jotted down everything on a piece of paper. It looks to be roughly a minute 40 something seconds difference between the runners.
Yeah, Simi started the Master Sword puzzle, like pressed A to howl at 22 minutes and 27 seconds. So we'll see at what point Firnen starts it to be able to accurately gauge the difference between them two.
Yes, we heard about the record. We mentioned that earlier in the race. It just happened like a few minutes before this match went live. It was very cool. Wildebeest was also in this tournament. I believe he got 5th. Very cool to see people who hadn't run the category before show interest in it and enter the tournament. A lot of people who hadn't run the category before decided to show up, and I expected most people that showed up had already done runs of the category before, but we actually saw a lot of new faces, so that was really cool to see.
There's about a minute 40 difference between the two of them right now.
Yeah, so Firnen definitely has a lot of time to save up. Like, it needs to catch up a lot, but there are still lots of hard tricks left, and there's like 2 big RNG elements still.
Yeah, the Twilight Princess speedruns or races tend to be... They're never over until they're over. There's always something that can like kill your run, make you lose a lot of time, whether it's RNG or just a difficult point of the run, so...
Yeah, so even when all the big tricks are over and the RNG parts are over, when we get to Goron Mines, the dungeon itself, it's really easy to accidentally fall in the lava and you take 2 hearts of damage. And since we don't get any more hearts than the 3 we start with, then it's pretty easy to get a game over if you're not careful, and that loses a lot of time. The game over screen takes quite a while. You gotta listen to the tune before you can retry.
You have that plus the long and dramatic drowning effect of Link getting his lungs filled with lava, so...
Yeah. Oh, we haven't mentioned this yet, but Simi is playing on the Japanese version, which is the fastest version for this category by about a second. Text in this game is really quick anyway, because you can alternate between pressing A and B to advance it. A, advancing the text box, also closing it. B, only closing the text box. But if you go alternating A and B, then you can mash through text boxes really easily. Only some text boxes, like text boxes for when you get an item or some big important thing, those scroll on their own, but still pretty quickly. So text in this game doesn't really, like, language doesn't really impact text speed all that much in this game. So the differences will always be just like a few seconds here and there.
No backflip from Simi. There's 1 frame backflip you can do out of the what is it, the Light Spirit cutscene, which I think it says like 4 seconds or something. It's like a pretty substantial time loss to fail it, but not the end of the world by any means. And from here, Simi is going to be doing another instance of Back in Time, but for another use. He's going to be something called Back in Time Equipped,
He's
which
doing D-pad left.
let's see if he gets it.
I told him in
very
DMs to try D-pad left because he was having issues with it.
Played
And then he
very
was like,
safe
yeah.
there.
He's like, D-pad left might be the play, he said.
But instead of doing a Back in Time save, they're actually going to load their file whilst in Back in Time. And what that's going to do is give them control of Link with all of his previous items. But he will be in the King Bulbin 1 fight, which we can use that to essentially wrong warp to Kakariko.
We'll see me. A bit too early, a bit too eager on the dash.
And bad RNG
as well. Unfortunate.
This is one of those RNG instances that Sky was talking about. AB1 can be quite the handful.
Oh, he's on his right side. Link swings from left to right on GameCube. This is not ideal.
Oh no. Only one more hit.
Is now going to do a bit of a preparation for Back in Time Equipped. Back in Time Equipped, or like Back in Time in general, is very prone to crashing on the Wii version. So there are some things that Wii runners can do to make it a lot more consistent, such as voiding out on purpose. So you'll see Firnen. Oh, you already did that earlier. Voiding out and then entering the loading zone for the area and then resetting the game. Like all he's doing now is like preparing to make sure that he has the highest chance of this working. Whereas on GameCube, you can just perform the trick. Like, as long as you get the frame for Back in Time, then it won't crash. But on Wii, it can crash even though you get the frame.
And while Sky was explaining that, Simi did a fast strat for the second phase of KB1. You can basically turn around and get 2 hits in one. So let's see if Fernen can get Back in Time.
That looks good. Very nice.
Good. Now let's hope that it doesn't crash when he presses A and B. Good.
That's a big relief for Firnen right there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Wii, but it's just so much more prone to crashing in Back in Time than it is. I guess I don't think I've ever had it crash in Back in Time in GameCube, but for some reason Wii is just temperamental about that.
Oh, he gets a good RNG.
Good RNG.
Simi going for the human movement. It's faster to be human in the spring. The water slows you down so much as Wolf. So he's going to transform once he's out of the water. Using up all spurs. Okay, there we go. Yeah, a much faster fight for Firnen, so he gained a lot of time on Simi there.
And we'll see if he can get that same quick cycle on phase 2.
Oh, he's early. He got to slow down. He needs to. Oh.
Yeah, man. Okay. That was close, but he got it.
Wow, he got the one where he got the first hit, the first frame hit where King Goblin stays in that idle animation, and he also did a spin. I haven't seen the spin before. He was like rotating as he as he pointed out. I haven't seen that version.
So we saw Simi do it already, but Fernen is entering the Sanctuary and exiting. Currently, it's in like kind of half Twilight, half normal state, which just kind of happens after fighting King Bulbin and Back in Time. And you can just simply reload the area. There's another method of using Epona to void out behind the Sanctuary, but it's precise and only fast for tasks, so you don't really see people do it in runs or in RTA runs.
Firnen getting the max range of the Master Sword there, killing those 2 Shadow Beasts. The Master Sword is a bit longer than the Ordon Sword, so that was crucial for making that kill work. Also staying human for the slightly faster movement versus like transforming into Wolf. Although we did have some issues killing the Shadow Beast though, they weren't really noticing him right away. And that does factor into the time save, staying human.
So we have both of them in the Elden Twilight section now. I'd say Elden Twilight is probably the most consistent of the Twilights, and I guess most
Yeah.
optimized in terms of strats, because it used to
believe-
be.
Go
Actually,
ahead.
it used to be. A lot of times now, it's very common for top runners to get sub 7 minutes, but it used to be, sub 7:30, sub 8 was really good. But nowadays, there's some really insane times for the segment.
Yeah, I believe the only RNG part is the watchtower bug, which we have sort of recently solved, question mark. Beast is looking into it. He found something that was very consistent, but sometimes yielding strange results. So, but still, having that mostly figured out and that being the only thing where that isn't 100% consistent, then this Twilight is very much figured out, and it's excellent to not have RNG elements in it. It's a big difference versus Linear Twilight, where you have the lily pad bugs that can give you a really hard time.
Yeah, we don't talk about those bugs. We just don't talk about Linear Twilight in general.
Yeah.
So coming up here in a minute, Simi is going to, after getting this singular bug in Barnes' bomb shop, there's going to be 3 in the in the, I guess his shed, whatever you want to call that building. And normally in any percent, we would just have the boomerang to be able to LJA out of bounds to skip it. But unfortunately, we can only be Wolf, so we have to do a slightly more difficult version of Bomb House skip. And we'll see if Simi gets it.
That's good space.
Very clean nice from Simi. Basically, by killing this bug before it has a chance to enter, it just skips the whole cutscene of one having to kill the bugs, but also the whole house burning down. And yeah, it was very good from Simi.
That movement, as soon as he was done with the crawl space, that was incredible.
See if he does a new strat.
It looked like he was about to do it, but yeah, and here we go. Here's the bad RNG. The bug needs to leave that part of the room for you to be able to attack it. It's invulnerable up until it leaves that part. Simi patiently waiting before digging out to make sure that the tear actually goes into the vessel, so he hears the sound effect and sees him glow blue. Otherwise, if he would have started to dig before that happened, he would have not gotten the tear, had to re-enter the house and get it again.
Also, he got the side hop, which at least I myself have not gotten that in 4 runs now, because apparently that side hop is much harder than it should be.
But yeah, I think I failed it in 2 runs recently too. Turning on senses, there's a Goron there. I've actually never... I probably haven't seen that guy since 2006.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that man. Yeah, but Simi just making his way up the Death Mountain Trail to get these last few bugs. And Firnen about to do Bomb House skip, which I don't think it's any harder on Wii. The cues are just different due to the difference in aspect ratio.
Yeah, and since the Wii 100% run can't use boomerang LGAs, or any Wii category for that matter, they have, if they want to save time here, they have to learn the wolf method. So in general, I would say Wii runners are probably more consistent, at least the active ones, on this trick, since it is a requirement if you want this juicy time save. Whereas GameCube can always rely on using the boomerang as a beginner-friendly method.
Yeah, I think it's 40 seconds to skip the bomb house or something like that. So it's definitely worth the time investment to learn it.
Very nice. How long is RTA? So an 90% speedrun of this game is about 3 hours, a little bit less if you're really good. This category is about an hour, and it completes a dungeon that you normally don't see in 90%. This dungeon gets skipped completely. But it is an old race category from 2011, where people back then decided that they wanted to, revisit this dungeon, race it. It is a pretty cool dungeon, and because they didn't do it in 90%, it was like, oh, let's do this dungeon. and it has seen some really cool developments over the years with like the tricks and the route especially. And this route now it starts off very similar to any percent, so you can get practice for any percent by doing this category. So we often recommend this as a beginner-friendly category to any percent, people who want to do any percent. But then you also have a really unique route with some unique tricks about halfway through the run, which keeps the category interesting and fresh.
And one of those unique tricks we're going to be seeing here now from Simi. What he's going to be doing is kind of a may seem strange bit of routing. What he's going to be doing is warping to South Firnen here and running all the way to Bo's house. He wants to visit him. He doesn't want to fight him or anything. He just wants to say hi. They haven't seen each other in a few years. But he's going to be talking to him 2 to 6 times. And ideally he would talk to him 4 to 6 times. And what that does is basically saves the progress of, or it takes the progress of the conversation that he started with Bo, and he can transfer that to Goron, which, due to us doing early Master Sword, he is in a state where it is impossible to advance his text normally. So we have to do this technique of text displacement to basically transfer the conversation from one NPCs to another, in this case from Bo to Goron, in order to actually enter mines.
And the reason why it even works is because we did back in time save at the beginning. So this is supposed to be one cutscene where you're not supposed to be able to go out of the conversation at any point. But we gotta initiate it ourselves, talking to him for each sets of text boxes. So because this cutscene is broken, we're able to abuse the text boxes here with the back in time save that we did at the beginning.
So I think I wasn't counting, but it was probably 4 or 5 times that he talked to Bo, and now he's going to warp back to Death Mountain and is going to ascend and talk to Goron. I think it's just once in this category you need to talk to him.
Yes.
If I'm remembering correctly.
It kind of depends on Bo. If you talk to Bo like 2 or 3 times, you need to talk to Goron twice, I believe. But if you talk 4 to 6 times, then it's only once, where he has a little pause in between the first set of text boxes and the second set. And but yeah, he does a sound effect when you get to that point where you need to, where it's open. So that's good.
And something to be careful of with TD or text displacement is there are things that can take it away. The only thing really relevant is if he was to reset his console, or if he was to activate that entering Death Mountain cutscene, which nobody would ever do. So
no, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd be really embarrassing, you know.
Yeah. Good thing we haven't seen that in the tournament or anything like that.
No, of course not.
But yes, save warping, death warping, I suppose, dying, getting a game over screen, talking to certain NPCs, hitting certain cutscenes. But for the most part, it's pretty much just traversing up here normally. And Simi, unfortunately, not skipping the second Goron. It is a little bit finicky. The second one is much harder to skip than the first one.
So go ahead, sorry.
Basically, just if you turn 180 degrees and lock your camera, you can side hop. If you look at them, you won't be able to do side hops because you'll get this wrestle prompt. So that's the reason why we look away.
So a question, chat, is HD runnable? The HD version is runnable, and the tournament was open to HD runners. It's just the HD version is significantly slower due to the lack of early Master Sword and Back in Time. So I think world record is something around the 1 hour, 10-minute mark, somewhere around then.
It's 1:14:19.
1:14, yeah. So it's about a 20-minute difference-ish between the world records. So HD is just unfortunately a lot less optimal for this category. But I've heard it's a fun category in HD though, so I've never seen a run of it myself, but I've heard it's really fun.
Yeah, it has some unique tricks like doing an ending blow to get past the gate. Like you perform ending blow on an enemy and you just go flying. I guess maybe it's Moon Boots ending blow, so you get extra height. So you go over a gate, so you skip fighting King Baldwin.
Yeah, so Simi is heading back to Bo. This is like probably the least fun part of the route, just because a lot of running back and forth.
We did
But
try
it
to
is
time
important.
it for like using Koro TD instead. So TD, text displacement, the technique where we talk to Bo manually due to his broken cutscene and apply it to Goron. We can do that from other NPCs as well. We tried with Koro, but you need to get 100 rupees and an uku to perform it, and it was just slightly slower, luckily in a way, than this, because it is a frame perfect trick doing it with Koro, but with Bo it's completely free. Like, you just need to make sure that you're counting correctly.
Yeah, so this being Bo being another major RNG portion of the run. Ideally, Bo is going to, on this first phase, he'll either do nothing, or Bo will step to his own left, and that will allow the runners to be able to one-cycle them with good mashing, anywhere from 12 to 15 hertz, which Simi got the good RNG, but wasn't quite perfect on the mashing, so didn't
Yeah,
make the one cycle, but he still got it.
Bo decided to stand still for both of those like actions, whereas in this round 2 he's not able to stand still. It's like he will do a move, so we'll see what he does now. Good guess from Simi.
Not bad.
Nice. So optimally you want to slap so you can get the one cycle, but he could also slap, and then a slap versus a slap is a stalemate, and that can happen like 5 times in a row, and it's actually pretty common. So Simi opting to go for grabbing Bo there was a wise choice to get the fight over with quickly, instead of trying to go for the one cycle.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bo is super late into this run, so I've seen many runs that people are on PB pace. They get to Bo, and then he just completely kills the pace. Whereas, like in any percent, it's 7 minutes into the run. There's not really. I guess you can easily just reset to Bo, which happens a lot if you're going for PB attempts at 90%. But with GMRTA, you're just kind of at the will of Bo, whether he wants to cooperate or not. So we'll see if Firnen is able to get as lucky as Simi or less lucky.
Excuse me. Yeah, Simi's not going to go for early elevator, which is doing a precise clip here, jump slashing to avoid voiding out, and then turning wolf, and then lining up, and then dashing off this invisible flooring to just make it across to this other side, clipping past, getting to an area that there's usually like a statue blocking the entry here, and then transforming back to human to put on the iron boots to use this elevator shaft. And because Goron Mines is unlocked from... Nice one framer from Simi. Since it is unlocked from talking to Goron earlier, the Goron blocking the entrance to the elevator now will just move out of the way if Simi talks to him. But the only way to talk to him is to target him from the corner. When you target an NPC, your talk range, or like interact range, increases a little bit. So it's a good thing that's a thing, otherwise you wouldn't be able to make him move out of the way. Maybe it's just barely possible to like talk to him without target, but target makes it so you can talk to him sooner, or like earlier. And he is in mines. Firnen got a good bow cycle 1.
We'll see if Simi goes for the roll strats on Flamejet 2, which it looks like he's going to.
And he gets it very nice. He's very consistent at that. Not so consistent at grabbing the ladder, though.
I've heard the ladder is harder than actually doing the trick.
Oh,
so.
A standstill on Firnen. Neither Bo nor Link did anything there. Simi doing a C-up, thank you. Going for the fire Toad Poli strat. Yeah, so there's a lot of iframe abuse in this first room. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to see if Simi gets risky at times there. Note says 4 seconds only in this room. With very good movement and good rolls, you can make an early cycle on these spinning... there's like spinning platforms. With good rolls, you can make an early cycle on them, and it saves 4 seconds.
His angles have been a bit wonky, but yeah, it didn't really make it in time. He technically could have attempted it, but that would have been an extremely risky attempt. Yeah, so language doesn't really matter for this game. So Japanese is like a second faster than English, roughly. I believe 21 frames. And Firnen playing on English, you know, just being 21 frames slower on text alone, and that's like the only thing. When it comes to like glitches, for the most part, it doesn't matter. On the Japanese version, map glitch is patched, but we don't perform map glitch in this run, so it ends up not mattering for this category. Firnen getting a nice early elevator.
I was a little bit nervous on that one. I thought he was angled a little bit too far to the side, but it worked out for him. Simi with a nice sword combo into a DF walk to get up there. That was pretty swaggy.
Yep, saves roughly half a second. Walking on magnetic ceilings or walls makes Link move pretty slowly, like as he's moving normally with iron boots. If he's walking with iron boots on, he moves very slowly. So those magnetic ceiling or wall sections are pretty slow. We can do sword slashes to speed them up as you move very slightly faster if you do a sword combo attack. So you'll see Simi do a lot of that in this next room coming up. The task managed to save 7 seconds over one of the runs I compared to that just had good regular like pathing without slashing. Simi going the wrong way. There we go. So, but his angle right now is too far left, so like, yeah, not ideal, but he will still save time doing this over his walking. But he needs to make sure that he gets the correct combo, as you don't want to just do forward stabs, you want to do side neutral forward in order to get the best combo for the technique.
So Firnen electing to do the safe strat because he failed it the first time.
Wise choice, don't want to spend too long on it. And then I know Simi likes to go for the risky jump slash at the end here, which isn't, it is risky no matter how you look at it, but it's not that difficult if you practiced it. It's actually a very fun strat to do that is very consistent, but don't do it without practice, is all I gotta say. He's gonna turn right here, very nice.
Nice sword put away before the door.
Yeah. Let's see if Firnen gets a nice cycle here, or if he opts to go for it. Good roll so far. You know, this is a slope, so as you learn from the beginning, you want to make sure you chain your rolls frame perfectly to not lose speed here. But he opted to not go for it, which is a wise choice. If you fall in the lava there, it can be very bad.
Then me not skipping this cutscene because it is in fact slower to skip it.
And Firnen would have game over. He's being very careful not to. He doesn't have C-stick. There's no camera control for him, so he's using C-up to enter first-person view to line up his jumps instead. He's being very careful not to hit the lava, as he will get a game over screen if that happens. Doing the slab clip, just rolling in between the slab and the wall here. It just works, even though it shouldn't.
And Simi coming up on this on gate skip.
Gets hit by tech die. I saw that going.
In other categories where we might have the claw shot to just hit the crystal switch, we don't have that. So we have to use Wolf to clip through the gate, and fortunately he got it quickly there.
The tech die was really close.
Yeah, as Wolf you take double damage. So if you aren't responsive, or if you don't respond fast enough, the Tektites can combo you and very easily kill you quickly due to that increased damage taken as Wolf.
See me almost getting the slashy walkie, super close to getting the hang of the ledge there. And Firnen just did the first instance of the Wii only glitch, Wii 1.0 only I believe, the magnetic ceiling glitch, or well, wall also works, where if you unequip iron boots as you're being propelled towards a magnetic ceiling or wall, then you can run at full speed. The only thing is that you can't roll, but that's no problem. And it looks like we're gonna have... Okay, so KS says it's not coming up in time, so that's good. So Firnen will do the trick in this room, which will save a lot of time. You can see him force unequip iron boots there by equipping the lantern over iron boots, and he can just run around. And this saves
so fast,
so much time.
It's so fast.
This is why the Wii version is the fastest for this category. And just like that, he's done with the room.
And Simi doing
KSS.
KSS. Yep.
I was thinking that those tricks would be at the same time. It was luckily it was like slightly before. Very action-packed moment for both players right here.
There we go.
There you go. 4th try, I believe. Looks like 4th try. So I was counting correctly. Counting is pretty difficult, as commentators have mentioned previously.
Yeah, I think after the 8th try, it starts losing time to just getting the key shard.
I believe that's correct, yeah. So yeah, it's getting the second key shard from the Elder. Oh, what's his name? Can't remember.
Is that one Gora Liggs?
No, it's the other guy. Has a
Abizo?
Z. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
See me doing the strat for Dangoro, like the quick fight. And gets bad RNG at the end.
And Firnen elected to kill the Pectites.
That's good, Firnen playing it safe. Although he is behind, so needs to do everything he can to catch up. But at this point, it might be set in stone.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that can lose. There's like one thing that can lose Simi like 45 seconds if he fails it, but besides that, it's fairly...
That was cool from Firnen. A quick spin into the walkie slashy. Yeah, so we'll cover the Dangoro thing when Firnen gets there. Sim is now about to get the bow and on his way to get the boss key. He hasn't gotten... Well, he's gotten the first key shard. In this dungeon you get key shard 1, 2, and 3, and that assembles the full boss key. But the game only checks for the last key shard. So even though Sim is missing the second one, he performed what we said earlier as key shard skip. Well, specifically key shard 2 skip, but since this category can only skip the second one, quickly at least, then yeah, he only got the first and the last one now, but it will form the final key. Firnen doing KSS, doing the setup, getting the angle just right. That looks good. Buffering with item wheel. Ah, very close. Yeah, gave it one attempt. He likes to give it one try, and then if he doesn't get it, then continue. Here we get to see the Goron that SVA has as a profile picture. That he's had for probably like 9 years at this point. It's a very handsome looking Goron.
That's a very, very handsome
it's in the lore. That's actually one of the characters says, oh, this is a very handsome looking Goron.
Yeah. Also, though, I don't think we mentioned is rolling in this room with Dangoro is really stupid. Because, if you try to press A, the talk range for Dangoro is extremely large. But what Simi was doing in there was doing a sword slash and then immediately rolling afterwards, and that allows him to actually get a roll in without talking to Dangoro.
Alright, so we'll see Firnen doing the quick cycle now. 3 jump slashes to get in position, 3 backflips, putting on iron boots, getting pushed on purpose to a certain point, and then throwing him off just as he's on the edge, grabbing the edge, climbing back up. Dangoro gets hit twice, and then there's RNG. He had the opportunity on the first couple of bounces, but unfortunately didn't get it in time. Yeah, so while Dangoro is bouncing around at the end there, if you can do a quick spin or a roll stab or like any sort of big damage hit, when he's on his way up, he will go into a rolling state and you can grab him and toss him off again right away. But it's random where he bounces in the fight.
And Simi's about to do the last thing that could lose a lot of time, jump slash off of this magnet onto the bridge. But he expertly gets it and gets shot in the knee on the way down.
No, like full knockback though, like getting knocked down, so that's good. Just a little push, a slight push forward.
No rupee or heart this time. That's very unfortunate.
Isn't it like one Bulblin that just like always spawns under the map, so he immediately dies from the lava?
He spawned under the platform, so he just dies in the lava.
Nice.
I think he has a name, but I don't remember the name of him, so...
Another name. I swear we have a name for every character. That doesn't, like, that normally doesn't have a name.
Yeah, we like naming stuff in Twilight Princess, so... Chances are, if there is an enemy, which we see every single run, more than likely they have been named at one point or another.
Oh, Firnen opting to kill the second Beamos there. Just to not have the beam be fired very closely to him as he's trying to grab the first Beamos.
And Simi is in the Dangoro fight. It is technically possible to do this with only arrow shots, but I think it takes 10 arrow shots to the crystal. It's very slow. But ideally you just do 3 knockdowns, 3 stabs to the crystal, and then you call it a
killing
day.
the torch slug. Maybe getting revenge from getting hit in PB attempts, who knows?
Swaggy break slides from Simi, because there's nothing else to do during these waiting periods.
So Simi's gonna grab the right chain. You can see he will step left foot, right foot, and then you're able to trip Fires. So he needs to at least do 2 steps before the trip animation happens. So if you have a good distance on him with a chain, and you're like, I believe, technically perpendicular to him, like right behind his back, then you can make him trip really quickly. If you grab the right chain, it will happen on the second step.
Yeah, so it looks like Simi's gonna end with mid 59 for his final time, which is good for a race setting, especially considering Hugo was not cooperative for this.
Second try sword and shield skip in sub 1, very nice. Burning, killing additional archers, almost falling in the water there.
I mean, I know it's hot, but it's a little slow to go for a plunge, so... Yeah, so timing of this category ends upon saying yes to Midna. And unfortunately for Simi, since he's playing in Japanese, it's impossible for him to say yes. So his run is uncompletable, so...
Yeah, unfortunately the button says hi instead. And there it is, GG to Simi. He has won the redemption bracket. So this bracket was for those who didn't make it out of pools. We had a pool setting, a pool format for the tournament, and top 3 made it out of their pool, and top 3 made it out of the pool, and then the rest ended up in the redemption bracket. And then Simi had a really unfortunate thing happen in his pools race, so he got last in his pools race. He had to reroute on the fly to do text displacement with Koro instead. And that loses roughly, I believe, 6 minutes. If you realize it immediately and optimally do the next route, which, that is not easy to do on the fly. But yeah, that loses so much time. So he got knocked into the redemption bracket, and he's made it all the way.
Yeah, so that was the final, so that is Simi then winning the redemption bracket. And I guess whilst Firnen goes through the fight, I believe there's one last match, which is Nimzo versus Skyrion. I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
You guys doing all of your matches at that point tomorrow?
Yep, that's the plan.
Alright, so yeah, it'll be very interesting to see the grand finals tomorrow.
It will be either 2, 3, or 4 matches, depending on how well I play.
Your PBs are like, I'm guessing like 45 seconds apart or something like that?
After he got the 55, I think it's like closer to 50 seconds apart, something like that. Yeah, the real grand finals. Yeah, this was like a side bracket, but it was very fun. I'm glad we decided to do it. It was because like not getting out of pools, it's a bit, a shame only doing one race and then having that be the end of your tournament run. So
yeah, imagine if that happened. That'd be so sad. That would suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool format though. I think it works well for like pacing of tournament because the pools is just you're racing a lot more people at once, so it's very efficient.
Yeah, it was more efficient, and this was a breath of fresh air trying a different format where you had a pools race instead of just only 1v1s when this many people signed up, especially.
I think it was like 23 people or something that signed up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, 23. Yeah.
So the very big turnout. It was very nice to see how many people joined.
Like I mentioned earlier, I was surprised. I was expecting to see mostly Goron Mines RTA runners show up in the tournament, but we had a lot of people who hadn't touched the category before, people who had only watched runs of it, a lot of people who hadn't seen the category ever before, just learn it and sign up, and that was really cool to see.
Like you were saying earlier, Goron Mines RTA is a very good category to start off this game with. 2P speedruns are notorious for being very difficult to get into.
GG to Firnen.
Yeah, GG's. But with the advent of the practice tools that the dev teams have been working on for the past few years, as well as the super fledged out ZSR we have, it makes it a lot easier to get into this game opposed to what it was like even like a decade ago.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So if anybody watching is interested in getting their feet wet with Twilight Princess speedrunning, I would highly recommend checking out Goron Mines RTA because it has a lot of the gatekeepery tricks that any percent has, but also it has those gatekeepery tricks, and also you do Goron Mines, which is also a very good dungeon. So
yeah, 10 years ago there weren't that many resources for learning the game, which is the main reason why I decided to make as many video tutorials as I could at the time. And we've always made sure to upkeep ZSR as best as possible. It's just been getting better and better every year. So our ZSR is very, very like fully fleshed out, and we put a lot of value into keeping ZSR for this game nice and tidy and up to date. Looks like we will be having interview with Firnen. Hello, Firnen.
Hello.
GG on the race. Unfortunately, didn't go your way, but it was very fun to watch. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel fine. I think the only major mistake was Hugo at the beginning, and then little things here and there. But I actually feel pretty alright about it, considering I haven't been running the category as much lately. Although it was nice to get fast EMS at the beginning.
Yeah, your EMS, like both of them were really clean. It was just a matter of like the Shadow Beast not being super friendly to you, but when you attempted the trick, you got it both times very quickly.
Yeah, but yeah, then I saw how far ahead Simi was in Goron Mines, and so I kind of just started memeing around.
But yeah, it was just the little things. Did you know that he also failed Sword and Shield skip?
I kind of guessed that, yeah, because I knew my Hugo took forever, and then I saw Simi was only at the Shadow Beast fight. So
yeah, you peeked here and there, Adam. Yeah, it's just the little things adding up, because Sword and Shield skip second try for both of you, and then apart from that, it was first try on all the other things. Well, not KSS, Simi got fourth try, and you attempted it once, didn't get it, and then when it got the key shard. But KB1 was a lot nicer to you than to Simi, so he made some time back there. But yeah, like you say, it was just the small movement things in like Eldin, and like from that point up to enter Goron Mines. It's a relatively clean race in terms of the tricks. That was fun.
Yeah, KB1 gave me good RNG. I didn't capitalize. I really should sit down and try and actually learn the strats there. But yeah, Ellen Twilight was fine. A race where I don't screw up Wolf Bomb House Skip in some form or manner is fine by me.
Yeah, glad to see Wolf Bomb House Skip going well for both of you. Yeah, Sim, you were a bit like what's it called, trigger happy on the first spur, a bit early on the first dash there. But yeah, it was fun to see you know, a Wii player in the finals of this. A lot of Wii runners had been knocked into the redemption bracket, unfortunately. And I believe your like side of this this bracket was like all Wii pretty much. It was like Geo, you, I guess Moira was on Sim's side of this. Double check.
Yeah, there was also Deesh and Zelds.
Right, Deesh and Zelds, yeah.
Yeah, they had to knock each other out there, and then I played against Geo. So yeah, it was literally almost my side of the bracket was almost totally Wii, except for Bachan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see a lot of Wii runners, especially in the past like year or so. Wii has become a lot more popular, and which is nice because Wii is it's a cool route. So it's very nice to see you guys showing it off in a good fashion.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
Anything else you want to mention about the race? Any final thoughts?
No. No, I think I'm excited to see the. Well, I guess there's one last round. It's the grand finals in the main bracket. Yeah, overall, this has been a very solid tournament. I was very happy to be a part of it.
We were happy to have you. It was fun to see. You know, like we just mentioned, so many Wii runners. Unfortunately, no HD runners. Maybe next year, even though it loses like 20 minutes route wise.
Yeah,
I might get a big skip.
Yeah, I noticed there was mention of it earlier. Yeah, HD GMRTA has some pretty cool stuff. They do like moon boots to skip KB1 and all that.
Yeah.
So I hope we get to see it someday in tournament. And yeah, GG again, Simi.
Yeah, congratulations, Simi, the winner of the redemption bracket. All right, seems like that'll be it. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks for commentating, Sky and TGD.
It was fun.
You're welcome.
Yep. GG's congratulations to Simikins for winning the redemption bracket and to Firnen for second place. Thanks so much to Skyriana, the guy downstairs, for the commentary, and to everyone in chat for watching. Let's see, coming up do please give all of them a follow. Coming up ahead on the CSR schedule, we do have. Well, this is pretty much it here for us tonight, but tomorrow we'll have a variety of races on the CSR schedule as is usual for our weekends. And a particular note is going to be, as mentioned, the grand finals of the final bracket for this tournament. Skarion versus Nimsa. Good luck on that, Skarion. That'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, right, on CSR main, so we hope to see you all there. We'll also have our assortment of weekly races, a couple Breath of Wild Legends tournament races, and then a couple randomizer tournament races as well here and there. So if you want the Zelda action, there's plenty to be had on the CSR schedule here. But that's really it here for us for the moment. Speaking of Deesh, we're going to go over and raid him. He is currently doing some 100% speedruns. See how that goes, and thank you for watching all. We will see you next time.